The Leafs may have solved one of their biggest problems, and following a great win yesterday against the Nashville Predators, we got to see what the Toronto Maple Leafs look like when they're firing on all cylinders and working as a team. We all know that they have goalie problems, they have blue line problems, and they certainly have injury problems, but despite that, they were able to fight through that, and it was just an unbelievable game and highlighted that one of their biggest problems will be solved. So I'm going to break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, as well as discuss some Sheldon Keefe comments about the team. He had some high praise for Joseph Woll as well as the team, so stay tuned for all that. But before we do get into it, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We notice about 80% of you guys who are watching are not subscribed. We make Leafs videos every single day, so scroll down. If you aren't subscribed, hit that button. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world to us if you could hit that button. All right, let's get right into the video right now. We have a lot to discuss today. Obviously, yesterday, I made a video on a couple of trade targets, but one of the biggest things right now was yesterday's win against the Nashville Predators. Now, Sheldon Keefe came out after the game and said that was one of the most tidy, clean games he has seen this season, and I tend to agree. Now, the Leafs are going through tons of adversity. They have tons of injuries, which we'll discuss, but just in general, of course, the most notable and recent one is Joseph Woll's injury. Ilya Samsanov stepped up, and if he can be the Leafs' solution to their biggest problem in this moment. Before we get into that, let's quickly discuss what Sheldon Keefe had to say on Joseph Woll's injury, and kind of just, this delves into the fact that Ilya Samsonov was phenomenal yesterday, but this is what he had to say. He said Woll's a little bit upset with himself for missing his post when he was trying to play the shot, but he needs to let that go. He's battled back from injury before, and I have no doubt he'll handle this extremely well. And I completely agree with that. Joseph Woll's going to be perfectly okay. He is our goalie of the future. He seems to be in high spirits when he was up in the press box with his dad watching the game. We all want him to be back, but when we're talking about right now in the Leafs' biggest problem, you can argue the blue line all you want. We have tons of injuries to Liljegren, to Giordano, all these guys. But if Ilya Samsonov cannot play a good, goaltending game, we are going to be in the biggest trouble, and that's our bigger problem right now. Obviously, defense kind of coincides with goaltending in this case, especially when the blue line is so banged up, but we need Samsonov to step up, and Samsonov stepped up yesterday, albeit against a mediocre Nashville Predators team. And I saw this tweet, and I want to throw it in here. He goes, wild in the narrative goes from Joseph Woll is out, and Ilya Samsonov is a problem, to watch Ilya Samsonov pitch a post-flu shutout, and everything is okay. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say that Ilya Samsonov is back to what he was last season and his prior career. I still want to see more out of Ilya Samsonov, but if he can play the way he played yesterday, where he gave up no goals, again, only on 18 shots, not a ton of workload there, but if he can just play a decent goaltending games and just be decent, play a decent goalie, he will be good, and the Leafs will be good as well. We don't need him to be a phenomenal Vezina-winning goalie. We just need him to be solid. Solid is all we ask, and so far this season he has not been solid, and that's why when Joseph Woll went down, it was such a big deal, because he is really the only one who has kept this team afloat and has allowed them not to lose a regulation game since I believe November 8th was their last regulation loss. They've obviously gotten a lot of losses in overtime in the shootouts, but Joseph Woll has been that guy. He has been the one silver lining this season to what's been a moderately disappointing season, even though we're still in 9th or 10th place in the NHL. Joseph Woll has been that guy, and if Ilya Samsonov can step up, that is their biggest problem right now solved. Obviously, the defensemen, Benoit, Brody, Lajoie, McCabe, Raleigh, and Timmins, they're doing an okay job. That is not the finalized blue line to end the year. We know Brad Treliving is shopping for other defensemen, but the big thing here is that Ilya Samsonov, if he can continue to play like this, one of their biggest problems will be solved, and he looked solid out there. Again, you can look at yesterday's game. It was a phenomenal game out of Austin Matthews. He's back on the board. He's back heating up. Nylander got a couple of assists. Yesterday's game was very good. And then another thing, which kind of leads into this problem being solved, is Noah Gregor and David Kemp. Now, David Kemp had a crazy game yesterday. Unbelievable goal. He was just... The third and fourth line has been so good this season. That's another one of the underlying stories. That helps solve, obviously, our biggest problem, by far our biggest problem is defense. That is the big thing that needs to be fixed. But in this very moment, Ilya Samsonov and goaltending would be a bigger problem just because of how bad they have been. And our backup goalie at this point is Martin Jones. But when you look at the third and fourth line, very, very impressive. Noah Gregor's had a hell of a season. David Kemp has been very solid as well. The thing with David Kemp is consistency. We can see him go out every 5 or 6 games and look like a phenomenal player, like Connor McDavid out there. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but every 5 games, we'll just say it for the sake of the video, looking like prime Connor McDavid. and then he'll go back to being his normal self where he's not performing great. Noah Gregor's had a phenomenal season as well. And if that third and fourth line, which brings so much physicality, brings so much toughness, brings so much grit, continues to perform and give us 2 goals, I cannot underestimate how great yesterday's game was to watch as a Leafs fan. We finally seemed to put it all together in a time where Leafs fans and Leafs Nation was in shambles a little bit because of Joseph Woll going down with an injury, because of Ilya Samsanov struggles, and because of the injuries to Giordano, to Liljegren, all these guys. We are in a okay spot, and we've managed to tread water, albeit all of these massive problems that the Leafs are currently facing. We know Brad Treliving is eager to get a defenseman and add one to this team. The question is, which one is going to be available? We'll have you covered with all that, but the biggest thing here is that Samsonov had a great game. The third and fourth line had some major minutes, and again, Benoit has played great defensively. We have Morgan Rielly logging 26 to 30 minutes a game out there. He is carrying and putting that defense on his back, and it's great to see him do that, but we've been preaching this all season long. Offensively, it has to come, it has to start from the top. It has to start with Nyes, Nylander, Matthews, all these guys, Marner especially, to continue to play well and elevate the other guys. Because if they play well like they did yesterday night, with Austin Matthews scoring 2 goals, then David Kemp, Noah Gregor, Nick Robertson, all these other guys who are on the bottom lines will continue to thrive and continue to get better together. And that's all we need. We have Yarncroke. He had a solid game as well, logging 14 minutes. And ultimately, I was happy with the game yesterday. There's nothing really to complain about. The biggest question is, will Ilya Samsonov be able to maintain this level of play? And that is the biggest question. I saw this screenshot as well right here. This is from Bleacher Report. We see that the Leafs are slowly starting to creep up the power rankings. They went from 11th to 9th, and albeit it is Bleacher Report, but I just wanted to throw this out there, and this was after yesterday's game. A goal from Austin Matthews, or this was after the game against Boston. This was a while ago, but it basically goes on to say that Toronto has lost 1 game in regulation since November 8th and is 4-1 in extra time. The point here is, obviously this was a couple of weeks ago, but the point here is the Leafs are starting to play well. They're not losing in regulation very often, and even though a lot of Leafs fans are upset that we're giving up late goal leads and ending up winning in overtime or the shootout, we're getting those points. We are treading water, and with a couple of key additions and getting Joseph Woll back at the same time, if we get Liljegren back, Giordano back, we make a trade or 2 for a couple defensemen, maybe hypothetically Chris Tanev, and then you get Joseph Woll back, this team will be very scary, especially when the third and fourth lines are playing as good as they are with all these guys going, especially David Kemp and Noah Gregor. And huge shout out to Noah Gregor for the game that he played. And yesterday was a phenomenal game. I saw this tweet and I agreed with it. Kemp was awesome. The Leafs just looked like the better team. They were the better team. They were more physical. Nyes was a beast. Huge hit. McCabe got in a scrap there, got in a fight. So I was happy with the game. It was overall a phenomenal game. And the premise of this video is that the Leafs' biggest problem, as of right now, which is goaltending and defense, but we'll focus on goaltending for the sake of this, has been solved. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this video. And again, let me know if you're feeling good about Ilya Samsonov, or do you want to see him play in a few more games and see him actually develop some sort of consistency? Because if Ilya Samsonov can start to continue, like I said this yesterday, get in a rhythm, we will be very good going forward with the potential 1-2 tandem of Samsonov and Woll. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in a more video.